We have a new sponsor and an old friend joining Envy Pillow here, Sierra Sil. With 2 rare patents and a money-back guarantee, Sierra Sil, available at Shoppers Drug Mart, London Drugs, and health food stores, it's the natural mineral joint pain remedy you need.
Just go to sierrasil.com, that's SIERRASIL.com, and use the code GF for 10% off.
Well, hello there.
Hello yourself. This is Gracefully and Frankly. It's episode 50, and I'm Lisa Brandt.
I'm Erin Davis, and we are covering a lot of ground today, sister. We've got tipping, the when, where, who, why, and don't get mad at us about it. I've even got a quiz for you.
Why we don't have advent calendars in our homes anymore, and what they were like when they were kids. Boy, they've come a long way. I'd actually kind of like one right now.
Really?
Yeah, do the first half of December in the afternoon. Yeah.
You could do that. Many people do. We're also going to be talking about the word of the year. Kind of like Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse. We'll all go crazy when you say it. No, we won't. We'll tell you what it is and what the runner-up is. We didn't know what it was, so we had to look it up, and that's always fun, too. So much fun in this episode ahead of us.
The word can describe Kathy and Kim of Envy Pillow. Of course, there are many ways to describe them. They are genuine, and they're smart, and they're funny on social media, and they've created this amazing pillow that everywhere I go, Erin, people ask me about the Envy Pillow, and I almost feel like I should carry one with me.
Yeah.
So that I can show them and just, here, feel this. Go ahead. But I don't want people's hands on my pillow.
Well, the next best thing is getting an email from somebody like I did Denise this past week saying, tell me again which pillow you have because I'm ordering one. And I reminded her to use the code GF for 10% off at Envy Pillow. That's ENVY pillow.com. And then I remembered it's mulberry silk and copper infused. So that's my choice, but there are so many right there on the website to choose from. And there's a travel version.
Yeah, it's a little bit smaller, and it's in this wonderful bag, so you don't look like you're a toddler walking around with your pillow and your blankie. And it actually feels very classy, and I love taking mine with me, too.
Thanks for taking us along. We're ready to go. Wow, it's our golden episode, Lisa, and I think we're going to hit 70,000 downloads this week. So to each and every person listening, especially Maureen, who had counted up on Spotify how many minutes she spent with us in 2023, thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's wonderful. And it makes me think of that Saturday Night Live, Sally O'Malley. I'm 50. Well, this podcast is 50 years old.
And we can kick, and we can punch, jump. That's it. Yeah. The splits, maybe not. But yeah, Molly Shannon, one of her all-time great characters. And we want to thank you, as we say, each and every listener to Gracefully and Frankly. And we're also very excited to be kicking off a whole new batch of podcasts, of course, right through 2024. But with a new old sponsor, because back in the day, back on CHFI, when I did mornings and you did the news on our station while also dashing off through the snow or the halls to 680 News Toronto, where you did mornings for how many years did you do that?
Oh, it had to be at least 70.
I hear you, sister.
I think it's seven.
Okay. That you would hear me doing my live ads for Sierra Sil, and we didn't do live ads for anybody. It's just Michael Bentley, the founder, who also lives out here in BC. It's just a company that is steeped in integrity, and they are Canadian, and it's all natural, and their joint Formula 14, along with what else does Rob take? Curcumin, glucosamine, and topical spray, all from Sierra Sil. They've all kept him really active. He plays hockey 3 times a week with osteoarthritis, which actually should be the name of the team, but it's hard to stay active, whether it's getting out of a chair or getting on the ice or getting up off the ice, thanks to Sierra Sil. And so they've partnered with us, Lisa. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You can go to sierrasil.com, GF for 10% off. As you heard at the beginning, they're our kind of billboard sponsor, so we won't be talking about them a bunch in the podcast because you want to hear us. Right, because we're kicking and jumping and doing all that stuff.
Thanks to Sierra Sil. Very grateful.
Yeah, so am I. Look at this. We're getting through December. How's your advent calendar doing? I've seen so many memes that say, judging by my advent calendar, tomorrow's Christmas.
Yeah, that's why I don't have them in the house, because I'd be punching through those little windows and just sucking back whatever was in there.
Yeah, like in case of emergency, break this
Right.
calendar. Well, I was thinking back to when we used to have advent calendars way back in the day. Kids, stay with us, that you just open the little kind of corrugated opening or whatever that was,
Yeah.
and it'd be a picture of a bell or a reindeer or something. Like, are you kidding me?
We got used to it being lame. You know,
It's
it was just like,
true.
yeah, it is true. There was never anything great inside it. Now it's just an excuse to eat chocolate. I like it now. I like it better.
Yeah. And when you think back too, when they kind of started delving into the fancy advent calendars they had a little wrapped chocolate or, just basically a two-dimensional figure, that chocolate was awful. Now, as kids, we really didn't know, but if you went to eat one now, it would taste like 3-year-old socks or
Yeah.
the candles you used to suck after they were in your birthday cake. And I'm not the only one who did that, I'm sure.
No. Well, no, we all did. Didn't want to lose icing. But the thing was back then, I mean, look at those Halloween candies, those wrapped ones that always ended up at the bottom of the bag. We'd eat anything if it was sugar. So
Yep.
kids don't actually have the most discerning palate when it comes to eating chocolate. It's only now that we realize, oh man,
Yeah.
was that like the scrapings from the inside of the machine, or what was that stuff?
Ew. And it's got to be worth it, especially at this time of year when so much stuff is laid out in front of you if you are fortunate. And we do understand that there are a lot of people without so much stuff. But if there's a tray or life is too short to eat the stuff you don't really love,
Right.
because it's going to stay with you one way or the other. So it better be good stuff.
Right. I've always been very, very stingy about my calories. I will eat too much of something. Don't get me wrong. I'm no saint, but it's got to be the right thing. I'm not going to waste my calories. My husband has started on nerds. He eats these nerds that are on little gummies, and it's like eating a cube of sugar.
Oh, dear.
They are not in danger if he leaves them around me. I'll tell you that much.
But not with Cuddles the cat either. Cuddles won't go after these little candies.
Cuddles is funny. He's a real foodie. He'll jump up on the counter if he smells something, or he'll try anyway. But no, he's a very refined palate. My cat.
There you go. Well, I'm sure there was a time when the Merriam-Webster came up with what the word of the year was, and it would have been foodie. That hasn't always been in the lexicon, has it?
No, I guess not. And it's funny, I had a conversation with somebody just recently about whether or not we were foodies. And it's like, well, everybody eats food, but, but I guess a big difference. Like my brother's definitely a foodie. Loves food, loves to try new food. Would you call yourself a foodie?
I will eat just about anything, but I do have preferences. I have such a love-hate relationship with food. We were at a lunch quite a while ago, and I said, I don't know why I don't cook. And she said, I know, because your entire adult life, you've been told not to eat. And, it's that whole dieting message.
Yep.
Don't eat this, don't eat carbs, don't eat fat, eat lots of fat. So just the messages. And so when I'm enjoying a meal, there's always that guilt. But I do love to eat. I especially love not sweets, not candies, but cakes, cookies,
Oh.
the things that come out at this time of year. I even love fruitcake.
Yeah.
I have always loved fruitcake, but it has to be the light one. I
Wow.
don't like the rummy fruitcake or rum balls. Ugh.
Where do you get the light one?
Oh,
I
occasionally
don't
you'll
even
find
think I've
it.
ever had the light one. Okay.
My grandmother used to make it, and she stopped when the ingredients were just too expensive for her tight prairie purse. And I got that, but it was so good with candied fruits and almonds and stuff. And then I found it with this kind of marzipan icing on the top. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I salivating? But fruitcake became such a punchline, right? People were using it
Yeah.
as door jams.
Right.
I like fruitcake, but I guess you are what you eat, right? And that's totally me.
Well, it fits in with you not being afraid of best before dates, because apparently a fruitcake something happened to the planet, sharks, cockroaches, and fruitcake would be the only thing that would survive.
Good.
So, you can eat an ancient fruitcake and it's not going to hurt you.
But you and I won't make it to that day anyway.
So what's the word this year, Merriam-Webster?
It is authentic.
That seems boring.
Well, it does, but it really is of the moment, of the zeitgeist, if you will, because in this age of deep fakes and photos and videos that we have to go, okay, is that real? Artificial intelligence rose and Elon Musk turned Twitter into X. The Merriam-Webster word of the year is authentic, authentic self, authentic cuisine, authentic voice. Oh, authentic voice. Yeah. When you hear something narrated by AI, it's just such a turnoff for me that I lose the message of what I'm listening to. But that's kind of a bias that you and I both have.
Well, we do, but I have to tell you, this week I got an e-learning voiceover project where I'm replacing AI. And so you're not alone. People spoke and said, we don't want to hear this. It's irritating. The emotion isn't there. They emphasize the wrong words. So give us a human. And this is probably the 6th or 8th time I've gotten a project where they have specifically said, you are replacing AI that didn't work. So that makes me really happy.
I guess.
Yeah.
It should. So here's to being more authentic. I've always kind of, and I think you have too, it's always been the way that we have operated, being real, unless it's going to hurt somebody's feelings.
Right.
There's a difference between saying, well, it's not my fault it hurt you if I tell you that this looks awful on you or something like that. You have to measure how and where you are authentic and differentiate between authenticity and just being, I don't know, what's the word? A bore?
Bitch? Because there are some people who will proudly say, I'll just say whatever's on my mind. It's like, well, that's great, but you don't have to deliberately hurt somebody just so that you can get your little whatever out, right? I mean, how does that saying go? I love it. It's permissible to have an unexpressed thought.
Yes.
And that's how I feel about Twitter, is that I don't need, just because I disagree with somebody, I see what they're saying, I don't have to. I can, but I don't have to go and tell them, oh, no, I disagree with this. There's so many things I disagree with all over social media, right? Pick every battle, especially if it's something that really means a lot to somebody. Why mess with it?
Unless it's straight out misinformation presented as fact. And that, I think, is part of the inauthenticity that we have been seeing grow so rampant. I don't know if it had to do with the American election in 2016 and all of a sudden lying became alternate facts and mistruths and all of the other euphemisms that the media has given to perpetual liars. I can't believe that George Santos has finally gotten turfed from American politics after not even a year. But, just a flat out liar and stuff you're going to get caught on.
Exactly. The context is what matters. For example, I have a sister-in-law who I love dearly, who is the complete opposite of me. She is anti-vax. She's all these other things, and we just don't talk about it. And I'm not going to have that conversation with her because it's just not going to get me anywhere. And I know it's misinformation on her part, Yeah. There was a little video, some stand-up comic I'm not familiar with on Instagram who said, somebody said after I got my vaccination, did you do your research? He's like, hell no. I don't have a laboratory. I don't have the education. I don't have all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's funny and everything, but it's not something I want to open up to someone. I find myself like Homer Simpson receding into the bushes and hiding from these things because I just don't see them changing anything.
I think that it goes back to the serenity prayer, the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
Things that you can change and the things that you cannot. Like when I had COVID, which I've been out of now for a week, I got the absolute stupidest posts. And I told everybody on Facebook and a few other social media that I had tested positive. Her response was, stop testing. Exactly.
That is a dumb person who needs to know they're dumb to their face.
Yeah.
Because they should not be allowed to talk to people.
Stop testing. And I said, oh, should we stop mammograms too so that we can prevent breast cancer? I had promised that I wasn't going to engage with stupid people. And there was only one other person who commented, how dare you call names? Look in the mirror. Who's the stupid one? I bet you voted for Trudeau. And I went, whoa, you took a really big leap there, lady. Block.
Yeah, it always goes there. It always goes to a giant leap. They know you from one post, right? Yeah.
And when I engaged her, I said, why wouldn't I want to know that I have a disease that could kill our 98-year-old friend? That my husband, Rob, stayed home from hockey the whole week that I was positive. There was some pouting because he didn't want to possibly be testing a false negative and pass it on to all of these 60, 70, and even 80-year-old guys he plays hockey with. Why wouldn't you want to protect other people, Lisa? Oh,
I know. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's just, that is the dumbest thing. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of.
A lot of these people aren't our followers, Lisa. They aren't people who know us, people who are us. And it's okay to have opinions outside your own echo chamber. Don't get us wrong. But in this case, it's just like, no, you are on another planet somewhere where what you think is true. So I'm going to let you go back there and not worry about finding me by accident again.
Yeah, you can't fake stupid.
The second word on the Merriam-Webster list for this year was Riz.
Riz?
R-I-Z-Z. Not like I got up this morning, I riz at 6:30 a.m. No, Riz means it's a slang term for skill in charming or seducing a potential romantic partner, especially through verbal communication, most often applied in the context of men pursuing women, sort of like, Dan's not that good looking, but he's got serious riz. Look at him charming those two models.
Wow, that's a new one on me. Am I ever glad they didn't make that the word? Because I would have given up on dictionaries right there. Well, you learn something every day.
You certainly do. And occasionally even here.
My husband and I have very different ideas of who should be tipped, how much they should be tipped, why they should be tipped. And we've been tipping people for probably centuries, and we still don't have this sorted out. And having just been in Europe again, it's all different there. It's all different here. You started tipping people you would never tip during COVID, and now do you still tip?
Yeah.
You're a tipper. You're a healthy tipper.
I am. And again, it goes back to that guilt thing. The guilt runs strong in this one. This is the time of year when you go, okay, we've got people who come in once a month and clean the place, so I'm going to tip them. Do I tip them individually? I don't know this person. They haven't been here that often. I'll just send it to the company. They'll distribute it. You used to tip your mail carrier. Now I wouldn't know him or her if they came up and stepped on my toe. And tipping at takeout, that's a big one because we go for pizza locally. Love this place. And when we tip, if it's over 15%, they'll yell, big tipper. And they all yell, thanks, because it's an open kitchen, right? And one time I gave 20% and there was no big tipper. And I kind of went, oh, dang. But anyway, tipping at takeout is a hugely contentious thing, too. I have a quiz in just a moment that'll see how your tipping knowledge is. But okay, so how do you and Derek differ? Rob and I are very much on the same page.
Well, he's not a stingy guy, but he's very picky about who he tips and when. Like, for example, he thinks if there's some sort of face-to-face action, like somebody's made your pizza and they're handing it to you or whatever, or they're bringing it to you, then they deserve a tip. But for example, in a hotel, he says, I don't understand why you tip for cleaning. You never see the person. And, I say to him, well, they make a big difference to the quality of your stay. They don't make a lot of money. It's not a great job. And I just feel like, again, I don't know, maybe there is some guilt in there. I'm not really sure, but I'm staying here like lounging like the Queen of Sheba. And you're coming in and taking my sheets and washing them. And he doesn't do it. So what we have worked out in places like this is he just doesn't say anything and I go ahead and tip.
There you go.
That's just how we do it because it's important to me and it's not to him. So we handle it that way.
What about when you're in a restaurant and you're out with, say, 2 or 3 other women and you're splitting the bill among you? Do you ever take a peek and see what percentage they're tipping or just kind of leave it to their own discretion?
I always leave it to them because I wouldn't want anybody doing that to me. But you know what we did in Italy, which was really brilliant? This is my husband's cousin Vicky's idea, was we all put, I think, €100 into this little change purse, and then I was in charge of it. And when we went out and did anything together, we didn't look at who ordered what or who did what or whatever. We paid the bill out of it, generally similar anyway, and tipped out of it. And then there was nobody having to do math. It lasted us the 4 days we were together, however much we had put in. And I just thought it was so civilized.
It is. I've been out with my dad, and he has picked up lunch, and then he has said, oh, give them a 5 on top of it. And we just look at each other, and then somebody slides a
Yep.
10 or something in addition to the 5. Because to be honest, many, many seniors don't know or are on a fixed income and cannot afford the extra 15, 20, 22,
Yeah.
25%, whatever you choose. I'm really, really sensitive about. Now, this started back when I was, kind of a bit of a somebody in Toronto. I didn't want anybody going back to the kitchen and saying, ugh, that Aaron Davis, what a lousy tipper. You
Right.
never
Yeah.
want to hear that about yourself. So I started tipping and over tipping also. There is the stereotype, or there used to be, that women are bad tippers, that seniors are bad tippers, that Canadians are bad tippers. I happen to be 2 out of the 3 of those and closing in on number 3. So I'm damned if I'm going to be
Yeah.
part of somebody's stereotype. They say in Florida, the difference between a Canadian and a canoe is a canoe will tip.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
I tip on the generous side as well. In fact, something happened years ago. I have a friend named Lisa, and we had met for dinner. And I got all the way home to Burlington. I was living in Burlington at the time. We had met in Oakville, and I realized neither one of us tipped. Can you believe it?
Ah!
The guy was amazing. He was fantastic. And I called her and I said, you didn't leave a tip, did you? She went, oh, no, I didn't either. I don't know, we were laughing. And I called the restaurant and I said, we were sitting in Chris's section and there's a pause and the girl says, we have 6 Chris's here.
Oh, geez.
And so he's still on my mind this many years later. It's like, oh, I wish I'd tip Chris. But she said, oh, just let it go. She said, let it go.
Oh, my. About tipping in hotel rooms, if you have somebody come in every day, it does make a big difference.
Yes.
I will go out to the hall. I don't need anybody coming in every day, no matter how long I'm there.
Same here.
I will go out and ask for extra coffee pods or whatever, and then I'll give them a 5. Some hotels too, though, I got this feeling at the Delta Marriott when I was there a few weeks ago. I said at the front desk, are there bathrobes? Because I was traveling really light. And she said, well, there should be. If not, just call down. Sure enough, there was not. And so there was Buddy at the door and there was a $5 bill. I think that it's built into the system now. I don't know.
Right. The other thing Derek and I talk about is so we get a cab ride that isn't super far in Italy, for example. The guy puts our bags in the back and takes us and brings our bags back out. And Derek just kind of looks at me. It's like, again, I think in this case, it's a bit of a man thing. He's thinking, well, it's the guy's job. And I'm thinking it's the guy's job, but it's a job I can't do. I can't lift those things.
Right.
He got us there on time and everything. So again, he just looks at me and smiles and it's like, fill your boots if you want to tip this guy. So I do. And yet when we're in a hotel, sometimes, somebody does the smallest thing and he's pulling out his wallet. I don't quite get it.
I don't either.
He's picky. He's not cheap.
Are you ready for the tip quiz then? How
Ready.
well do you know tipping? Okay, if everybody's ready. You ready? Okay,
Ready.
it's 12 questions. Is it true you're never fully dressed without cash?
I'm going to say no.
Well, they say yes, you're never fully dressed without cash. As North Americans appear to be moving toward a cashless future, tipping becomes more of a calculated effort. That's true.
Huh. There you go. I usually try and have cash on me, but I was thinking of other people. Okay.
2, you take a complimentary shuttle from the rental car lot to your terminal and the driver unloads your bag from the bus to the curb. Do you tip?
I
Yeah,
do.
me too.
Yeah.
The answer is when
Yeah.
someone touches your bag, you tip.
Oh my goodness, or you could call the police, but
Right.
uh,
$1 per bag,
okay.
unless it's extra heavy, and then it's $2. Okay, and if he just drops you off and you do your thing, no need for a gratuity.
Okay.
Question 3, you're on an airplane and the flight attendant serves you a drink. Do you tip?
I've never tipped a flight attendant in my life.
You're exactly right.
Okay.
Most airline staff members are asked to decline tips. So you've got 2 out of 3 so far. 4, you opt for curbside baggage check from a third-party vendor. I don't know what that is. Should you tip the attendant checking your bags?
No.
Okay, you say no. It says try again.
Oh, because it's a bag, right?
Yep. If they're
Huh.
bringing your bags from your car and they're checking them for you, $2 a bag. Okay. You've encountered great service at the hotel. Should you wait till the end of your stay to tip?
I think you tip when things happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tipping time is flexible here. It can be at the beginning or the end of the stay. Oh, tipping at the beginning is kind of interesting. There's
Yeah.
no hard and fast on when you should tip, so make sure you have small bills to hand out when the situation arises. Some people are going to be saying, everybody wants money. What are you guys talking about? But this is just a quiz from Washington Post.
So I don't understand how you would tip at the beginning. I mean, what if you end up with the worst service ever? I find that interesting.
I do too, but it goes back to the meaning of the word tip to ensure promptness, apparently, if that's even true.
Okay.
Mhm. And how do you know you're going to get the person servicing your room unless you check in before their shift is over at like 2 in the afternoon? Okay.
Right.
Question 6, you arrive at your hotel by car and leave it with the valet. Do you tip the valet attendant?
When you get the car.
Well, it says you should tip when you drop off, preferably when you hand them your keys. It's a great example of gratuity to ensure proper service. You want the valet on your side. They recommend tipping valet drivers $3 and up. Tip them in the beginning and they'll always look after you.
Well, that makes sense.
The hotel manager upgrades your room to a suite. Ooh, do you tip them?
I've never tipped a hotel manager.
I haven't either, and we are both correct. Because a manager is a salaried employee who doesn't require a tip. Next, a bellhop greets you in the hotel lobby and takes your bags upstairs to your room. Do you tip?
Touching bags, you tip.
There you go. You see? You get nothing else out of episode 50. Yes. How much will depend on what kind of hotel you're at and what kind of service you're getting. It's always kind of funny when they show you the fridge and then they open it. What? A fridge that opens? What kind of sorcery is this?
You've gone to such trouble.
Yes, exactly. Question 9, you're staying at a hotel. Housekeeping cleans daily. Do you leave a tip?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Not everyone knows to tip the cleaning staff. They work really hard, they work long hours, and there's a level of expectation that they do an exemplary job. They deserve it.
Yep, I agree.
$10 per day of your visit? Ooh, I would usually do $5 a day, but
Yeah,
okay.
me too. Yeah.
Getting down to the last few, you spend 3 hours with a tour guide. You just did this. Do
Yes.
you tip them?
Always.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Do the same rules of tipping apply to cruises?
I haven't been on a cruise. You tell me.
I'm going to say no because it's built into the price at the end. Yes, cruises can come with rules of their own. All right. And finally, you've ordered food with your favorite delivery app to your hotel. A service charge is included. Do you still tip?
A service charge? Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, a travel associate for Hoffman Travel, whoever they are, says she always adds a gratuity, noting the charges you pay on the app might not directly get to the driver. And as I think you were telling me last week, the guy who's delivering groceries will choose depending on whether the people he delivers to are good tippers. And you know what?
That's right.
That's human nature.
Yeah, and I don't know what happens to the person who's a poor tipper. They're going to have to step up their game if they want their groceries.
I guess so. So don't shoot the messengers here. We'll just tell you what's expected, what's the norm, and whether to tip. The rest is entirely up to you.
And if you travel, it's going to be different. Not so much in North America, but for goodness sake, in Italy, a couple of the restaurants had cover charges, and that was their way of collecting a tip. Others said, no. I tried to tip. It's like, no, we don't take tips. We don't take tips. And other ones passed around a basket. I mean, it's all over the place, right?
I think you might have been in the Vatican. That was actually the collection plate. Take it from a Catholic. What do you think of the websites that have Buy Me a Coffee, Lisa? There are a lot of people with opinions who put out free content for others to enjoy on various platforms, and those who have podcasts too. And it's no, we're not going to start asking for you to buy us coffee, because with my habit and your habit, people would go broke.
That's right. I've actually done it many times. There's an Indigenous news guy on Twitter who's got Buy Me a Tea, and I bought him a tea a couple times because it's cheap. It's something somebody can do quickly. And I know from somebody else who has a podcast that it can really add up for them. And they don't have sponsors, and kind of neat.
Well, we are lucky to have sponsors. Envy Pillow, of course, Kathy and Kim. And it's not too late to order for Christmas. Get in there. And of course, Sierra Sil now too. So we want to thank you for making 50 so nifty. And hope you'll join us next week. Don't be mad at us about the tipping thing. It's the way that it is, and you do you, right? We're not judging them.
Why would anybody be mad? Come on.
Okay, I'm just defensive. I'll just send everybody to you.
Okay. Delete.
Thank you, Miss Lisa. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.